right, mate? How you doing?
All right, mate.
Is that what I sound like?
Oh my God, that was the worst out of all of them.
Shall I give a little intro on UtilityClick?
No.
And then who we are? Okay.
No.
Okay, we'll leave that then.
Scripted.
It is scripted a little bit.
Nobody cares about UtilityClick. Nobody cares about me or you or UtilityClick.
That's probably fair. I feel like we need a hook to get them back for the next episode.
They're going to be like, I met someone really, really interesting this weekend who, in a good way, did not stop talking about energy procurement.
I like how question time is a signifier of a good weekend for you.
Energy procurement and energy software, you can pretty much talk about that in any environment. So if I was to introduce a podcast, I'd just be like, all right.
Should we start the US podcast now, do you think?
I thought that was the podcast.
How you doing, mate? You alright?
Good.
That was it starting.
That was really relaxed.
That was the first 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, it was nice.
Right.
That was nice. That was a good introduction. Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Good.
How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. We actually have our neighbours are having solar panels installed at this moment, so it's
Scripted.
Well, it is scripted a little bit, but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's quite. I thought it was quite apt for an energy podcast to get some
Are they-
background noise
Are they?
of any solar panels.
Are they thin? I was under the impression that solar panels over time are becoming thinner and thinner, so they actually look more appealing when they go on people's
I haven't
houses.
seen them out of the van yet, but they're just making a lot of noise, so I thought I'd mention it.
Oh, so they haven't actually installed them?
No,
yet?
they've just arrived. They arrived before we started this call, so. Yeah.
Oh, so was this the first time you knew that solar panels were being installed on the house?
They told us at the weekend they're coming this week to make sure we move the cars. So, yeah, but not on our house, just on our neighbour's house. But wasn't Elon Musk involved in some kind of solar panel project where he was making them?
I think he's bought land in, is it Nevada or somewhere like that, where he's going to build like super solar farms.
I thought he was involved in making the tiles for the roof or something.
Yeah. I think I actually did a post on that in the UtilityClick early days.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. So like actual roof tiles that are solar, which I think is a really good idea.
They're so ugly, aren't they? The big panels on roofs. I just
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, anything like that.
Although I have seen some go up that look quite nice, and I get the payback on them and everything like that. It's just, I don't know, more hassle than it's worth.
Yeah. Well, I think especially in the UK, you don't get the benefits you used to, do you? I think. That's
No,
not
I
bad.
don't.
Anyway.
How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Good. I'm glad it's Friday.
Yeah, it is good. It is good that it's a Friday. I always feel at least 35% better on a Friday, at least. I don't know whether it really starts kicking in the afternoon because it's still morning and you've still got to get through the day. But Thursday evenings are great as well. I think Thursday evenings are starting to become my favourite time of the week.
Yeah, I like a Thursday.
But then I'm trying to remember how I always felt about it, because I remember even when I worked at EQ and other places, I'd get home, question time would be on at 10:30. When I was younger and I could stay up till that late, I'd watch that and I'd think, do you know what? It's Friday tomorrow. Before I jump on the tube, I'm going to go to the corner shop. I'm going to buy myself a Lucasade Sport. I'm going to walk to Arsenal train tube station with a spring in my step and probably walk into the office with a wry smile, because it was always dressed down a Friday as well. So yeah, I don't know what it is, but Fridays really are great.
I like how question time is a signifier of a good weekend for you. It probably shows a lot about your character.
Yeah, do you know what? I used to love Question Time. I haven't watched it now for ages. I think that's probably because of Amelia and the fact I get too tired by that point. Or I don't know, actually. I just don't watch a lot of live TV. I do listen to podcasts on a Thursday night now. But anyway, loved Question Time. I loved Question Time with the exception of the questions.
From the audience?
Which kind of negates Question Time. I'd prefer it if it was just like time and you didn't have the audience there, because I don't know, I just find the general public really, really, really frustrating.
You don't care about Joe Blogs on the street. You just want to hear the politicians. You just want to hear the rough.
But it's so annoying. Like, you see some of them and they're like, I don't know, they're not even questions sometimes. It's a barrage of abuse at them. Or,
Right, yeah.
or I find it, I don't know. Anyway, I just find it odd that people that are unqualified manage to get on TV and ask silly questions.
Like unqualified people doing podcasts.
Yeah, but the difference is that we're awesome, and
true.
we talk about things that are generally interesting from a mainstream point of view. Energy procurement and energy software, you can pretty much talk about that in any environment. Agreed?
Well,
Try and think of an environment where you can't talk. Like if I go to the pub, I can't at the moment, but when I used to go to the pub, and better example, if I'd gone a stag do, and everyone's sitting round and they're drinking beer, smoking fags because we're boys, and everyone's sitting around and they're thinking, this is awesome out in the sun, and then I think I'm going to take this conversation up a notch. And then I just start talking about something really specific, like, I don't know, KVA analysis against half-hourly data, and you've got them. They're gripped, and you can take that conversation from an energy point of view in any direction you want, and you know that when they all go home and they see their family and everything like that, they're going to go,
thank goodness I'm home.
no, they're going to be like, I met someone really, really interesting this weekend who, in a good way, did not stop talking about energy procurement.
Okay. First dates, maybe? Maybe that's one place it probably wouldn't work.
Interesting. So, first date with Hayley, she was telling me, it obviously gets onto the topic of what you do professionally, and she was saying about how she was a teacher. Nod, interesting. And then she turned around and said, what do you do? And I was like, here we go. That is always the time on a first date when you're like,
Time for me to shine. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I explained to her for hours what I did, and all the perks that come with the energy world. Like at the time, my 2006 Honda Civic. Just my happy-go-lucky attitude of working in the energy industry. She was thriving on it. And again, like it's just that next day when you've had a first date and you think, are they going to text?
Yeah.
She was always going to text.
You knew.
Yeah. The energy procurement side of things, it's very powerful.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I've never had that as an arsenal for my first date weapon, but...
No, but then you've only been doing this for 12 months. It's your 1 year anniversary soon.
It is, yeah, coming up to my anniversary. Yeah, so I'm completely new to energy, but yeah, it's a shame, really. I could have used it to great effect, it sounds like.
But you still can. I think you haven't got in too late. There's still so many interesting topics that you can talk about. Like even like last week, I'll be sitting down with Hayley and I'll start talking to her about I think it could be anything. I talked to her the other week about the rollout of AMR metering.
Romantic.
And how the expectation was that for 05 to 08 meters, it would be done by 2012. And I explained to her that it wasn't. Like we all knew. I'd said to her, we all knew when these timescales came in that Ofgem were never going to hit it, and they didn't. And then I told her it went a year back, and then it went a year back after that, and she was fuming. She was furious about it. She was so angry about it. She went to bed and didn't talk to me for 2 days afterwards. She was that angry.
Oh, right. I thought you were going to say it took her back to the first date, and she was reminisced with misty eyes about how you first met. But
yeah, no, but that's Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So that's the power of energy.
Insert the Power of Love song here. If we could get the copyright. Should we start? Should we start the US podcast now? Do you think?
I thought that was the podcast.
Well. My
first date with Hayley, I thought that was it.
That's it. Well, that lays the seeds, and people understand more about you then. Shall I give a little intro on UtilityClick and
no.
who we are? Okay.
No.
Okay, we'll leave that then.
No. Nobody cares about UtilityClick. Nobody cares about me or you or UtilityClick.
That's probably fair.
So
Okay.
don't even do an introduction on us either.
Okay, a bit of background perspective then. So we are obviously a software company that creates CRMs, so it's energy broking software and software for suppliers. We entered the US market about a year ago now, so there's been a big learning curve about how that differs from the UK. We're obviously used to dealing with UK brokers, but the USA is a very different beast. And we thought that might be interesting to kind of talk about our findings and what we found, and for both UK and US brokers, how the two sides differ.
Yeah, I mean,
Because they're obviously both countries, let's just pretend we're starting as we're flying in, I guess. So we're flying in on our road trip, and because that's a good place to see, is a very high level view. It's obviously two massively different country sizes. So a state in a state in the States is probably the same size. So something like Texas, the same size as the UK combined, if not bigger. So that's obviously an instant one, but there's obviously lots of big differences.
yeah, let's talk about big differences because there's quite a few. And this is just the stuff that I learned, obviously, having to adapt the system for the US. The first thing won't come as much of a shock because you've already mentioned it. It's the size of the US compared to the UK.
Did I
Obviously,
spoil
we all
that?
know
Sorry.
that. No, no, it's all right. No, no, it's fine. I'll talk to you about it afterwards. So you're not dealing with apples and apples because in the UK it's all really simple. The entire market is deregulated. England, Scotland, and Wales, entire deregulation. So nice and easy to work within that territory. The US is just, I mean, it's like comparing the USA with Europe, like all of the different states and countries that sit within that. In the USA, you've got 40 states, 40 odd states, and only a small proportion of them are deregulated. And then some of those states that are deregulated are only deregulated for electricity and not gas, or vice versa. So it's very different, and it's actually much more complicated in the States. If I wanted to procure a multi-site portfolio in the UK, I can take all of those sites and I can approach the market. And generally speaking, you'd get suppliers that are coming in and they're pricing for everything because the whole market's deregulated. You can't do that in the States. If you've got Walmart or something like that that's got locations across the entirety of the States, because some of them will sit in regulated territories, some of them will be deregulated. Some suppliers will price in one territory but not another. So that's the biggest difference, first of all, is the fact that it's not only the size of the US, but you've got all of these different states that all operate in different ways as well. Is that a good overview?
I think that's a good place to start. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was first looking at it with you, and just like you say, the differences in between the two is quite staggering. So some states can only procure for commercial as well, can't they? And some for residential, and they've got that kind of mix as well. So that's where,
yeah. I mean, and in terms of numbers as well, I mean, if you look at, because I'll talk about this in a second, but if you look at distributors in the UK, the DNOs, you've got 13 generally, the standard DNOs. You've got independent distributors as well, but generally you've got 13 DNOs, so it's nice and easy. In the States, of course you would expect it because of the landmass difference, but you've got over 3,000 utilities, the equivalent of distributors in the States. So by its very nature, it's going to be more complex in terms of management if you're operating across those different states. So that's a big difference. In terms of brokers, number of brokers in the States, I mean, it depends who you ask, but generally speaking, there's probably around about 2,000 brokerages in the States. And then in the UK, I don't know, it's difficult because I don't really class one-man bands as proper brokerages. I'm talking about the more established ones. There's probably 400 to 500 in the UK. So there's big differences in numbers there. Suppliers, number of suppliers that sit out there, like everything, like as you would expect if you're always looking at the USA, everything tends to be a bit bigger number-wise in the US compared to the UK. So that's the big difference.
And then going back to that, the distribution company and utility company kind of differences there, that's obviously also different. So the way that they operate out in the States.
Well, so the distribution companies in the UK are responsible, as you would expect, just for the distribution. network and making sure that all works effectively, available capacity for certain locations, all of that stuff. It tends to be that's the only bit that they focus on. In the States, they call them utilities rather than distributors. The utilities are responsible for that. They're responsible for the distribution network. They're also responsible for the collection of usage information for the meters as well, which is that's a big difference, because in the UK you have data collectors, or the suppliers operating as data collectors, that obtain that data usage for the meters. So from a procurement point of view, if you need to go ahead and get half-hourly data or any AMR data, you tend to approach the data collector. In the States, it all goes through the utility. So you're collecting all of that information from the utility. So the distribution company in the UK isn't overly important. You need to know who they are, but that tends to be managed by the supplier. In the States, if you're a broker, you're contacting the utility. You're getting that usage information from the utility. So as an entity, they're a bigger player in the States than how it operates in the UK.
Right.
And just leading on to that as well, like the other big difference, and there are other differences, but the other big difference is the role of the meter number in the UK and the States.
Yeah, I was going to say, because when I first started learning the UK side of things, obviously the meter number was such a big point, or big start point of the procurement process, and to find out when we ventured into the US that it really wasn't that important, or at least not in that respect, it was quite a big surprise.
Yeah, so in the UK, it's really important. If you're going to go and price in the UK, then you need the meter details. You need the top line as well, which accompanies the meter details, which will, if it's electricity, it will tell you what meter type it's going to be priced against if it's non-half hourly. It's all very convoluted and complex. You need that information. You pass it across to the suppliers. That will have all of that identification on it. In the States, the meter number is very irrelevant. It's effectively the meter serial number in the UK. They use account number IDs, or in Texas they call them easy IDs, which are the account references that they use to go ahead and procure on that basis. And it's one account number, no top line or anything like that. So that's a big difference. Even though they're both unique references, the meter number itself in the States isn't important. It's that account number that they go and use and procure with. So it's a different setup on that basis.
Okay. It's probably a good place to end the first episode. I think we've done a good overview there of the very, high-level bits there. And maybe next time we move into a bit more of a detailed approach.
Yeah, there are a lot more differences, but they're probably the main bits to kind of talk about first and foremost.
I feel like we need a hook to get them back for the next episode, or something to look forward to. Well, maybe you could, you told me about your smoke detector story the other day. Maybe we could dangle that in front of our listeners.
I'm not going to be talking about that because that will make me sound mental.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
But Andy, I've had an idea. How about we end on a little Marvel kind of technique where you kind of, after the credits roll, give them the people that are hanging on a little bit of a secret surprise?
No.
No?
Nobody. No. There's a couple of things with that. Firstly, that sounds rubbish, and secondly, I mean, we're lucky if anyone's listened to this. Leave alone hanging on till the end. So I wouldn't waste your time on that.
Let's not tell Andy about this bit, but I thought I'd have this at the end, okay? Nice little joke. So, how do you make an old dam release its water? You give it a large tap.